Welcome to the Explainer. So your business runs on Microsoft 365, and you've probably wondered, are we really getting our money's worth? Today, we're going to dig into how you can tell if your setup is a well-oiled machine or, a hidden source of chaos. And it all starts with asking the right questions. A lot of business leaders, maybe you, start right here. This seems like a perfectly logical question, right? You're paying for this massive suite of tools, and you want to know if your team is using all the fancy bells and whistles. Makes sense.
But what if that's completely the wrong question to be asking? I mean, think about it. You don't get a prize for using every single feature in Microsoft Word. The real value, and this is what the experts say, is all about the foundation. Now this is the question you should be asking. This gets right to the heart of it. Do you have a healthy, productive system, or do you have a digital mess that's just quietly slowing everyone down? It's not about the features, it's all about the foundation.
So how can you tell if your environment has a problem? Well, it's usually not a usage problem. It's almost always a structure and governance problem. Let's walk through some of the big red flags. Okay, this right here is probably the clearest sign of chaos. If this simple rule is broken, you've got trouble. See, OneDrive is for personal work, your drafts, your individual stuff. Sharepoint is for the shared company files, the official documents that the business owns. So if your most critical business proposals are living in someone's personal OneDrive, what happens when that person leaves? Poof, your whole structure's at risk.
And this leads to a huge problem, something called permission sprawl. And it's sneaky. It happens slowly. Someone shares a folder with everyone just for now, or a whole team gets full control because it's just faster that way. And before you know it, you have absolutely no idea who can see what. And that is a compliance nightmare just waiting to happen.
So it all boils down to this question. If I asked you right now, could you clearly explain who has access to your sensitive files and why? If your answer is a hesitant maybe or just a flat-out no, that's a massive signal that you need to do a serious cleanup. A healthy system is one you can actually explain.
Now, this next one might seem like a small thing, but trust me, it's incredibly revealing. When your team's default move is to email a file attachment instead of just sharing a link to the document, well, that tells you a whole lot about some deep-seated problems in your setup.
And this list shows you why. See, it's not just a bad habit. It's a symptom of a system that's failing your users. People send attachments because they don't trust where the file is stored, they have no idea what the permissions are, or frankly, nobody's ever shown them a better way. And this just creates a ton of confusion and wastes so much time. So many businesses make this mistake. They think, hey, we'll just move from our old, messy file server to the cloud and everything will be magically fixed. But just moving your files to a new neighborhood doesn't fix the underlying chaos. The platform is new, sure, but if these bad habits don't change, the mess just finds a brand new home in the cloud. You wind up with the exact same deeply nested folders and dozens of duplicate files, just, with a shiny Microsoft logo on top. Okay, let's get super practical. I'm going to give you a series of direct questions that you, as a manager or business owner, can use for a quick gut check on the health of your own environment. First up, let's target that big common mistake. Where are your company's assets, the stuff the business actually owns, being stored? Is it in a shared business-owned space like SharePoint, or are they all tied up in individual employee accounts? Next, a huge security checkpoint. The people with the keys to the kingdom, your admins, do they have separate, dedicated admin accounts, or are they using their regular, everyday email account to do admin work? Because that's a major, major security risk. All right, this next one is basically non-negotiable. Is multi-factor authentication, or MFA, fully rolled out, especially for those admin accounts we just talked about? If not, you've got a seriously weak spot in your defenses. I love this little thought experiment because it's so telling. If you walked up to two different people on your team and asked them where a specific type of file is supposed to go, would you get the same answer? If you get two different answers, you don't really have a system. You just have a bunch of people guessing.
And this one lets us take the pulse of your team's workflow. Are they actually working together on a single version of a document, or are they just creating chaos by emailing different versions back and forth all day? The answer tells you a lot about how much they trust your system.
Think of your environment like a garden. If you're not actively maintaining it, things are going to get overgrown and messy. So, has anyone actually looked at your permissions and sharing policies lately? An environment that isn't being reviewed is an environment where risks are quietly building up.
So, if some of those questions maybe made you squirm a little, that's okay. That's the first step. So now, let's talk about the goal. What does a healthy, well-run environment actually look like? What should you be aiming for?
This right here is the biggest mental shift you need to make. The goal isn't to turn every employee into a Microsoft Teams ninja. The real goal is to make the system so clear, secure, and disciplined that it just works. It supports the work people need to do without causing constant confusion. That's so much more valuable.
And these points on the screen, this is what that clarity looks like in the real world. It's not magic. It's about making deliberate choices. It's enforcing MFA. It's separating personal work from company work. It's making sure that the basic logic of how things are organized is understood by everyone, not just the IT folks.
And you know, that's really what this is all about. You don't need to be a tech genius. You just need to be a good steward of this critical business tool. That means you protect it properly, you organize it clearly, you teach the right habits, and you check in on it often enough to keep it healthy.
And that's the perfect way to wrap this up. The next time you're tempted to buy a new tool or chase the latest shiny feature, just stop and ask, does our current setup actually make sense? Because bringing clarity and discipline to the powerful tools you already have, well, that's almost always the right answer. Thanks for watching.